We're almost to March and the weather's starting to pick up on us a little bit. It's getting warm then cold, having colder nights, and it's very wet. But you know what that means for us if we're almost to March is that we have a limited amount of time to be getting ready for foraging. Foraging gives you an upper hand on your competitor, especially when you have a small amount of space to work with and you don't have a lot of money to work with. Today I'm trying to prepare myself to cut these barrels in half. And the crazy thing about these barrels is that I got them from the dump and everybody thought I was crazy to get those. The reason for cutting them in half is that we are going to force bud open a lot of our wildflowers, and it's going to be a project that we're going to work on for the next few weeks. We're more likely to develop cash flow in the beginning of the season without our flowers even popping up. There he comes. I am trying to look for something that is going to be a straight cut for me because it's looking like it's going to be kind of shabby, and I don't want that at all. Maybe I can use, I've got these buckets ready for next year. Not really next year, just in a couple of months really. These are some of the stakes that I used, and I just had cut some 2x4s that I had. I think these were treated really. But I'm gonna try to use that as like a straight edge. For the people who don't know, we're in zone 6B. And what that means for us is the season usually starts around May 12th or something like that of our last frost date, maybe a little bit earlier. The entire point of these barrels is to be able to take them in the basement where the LED lights are. One of those that we're gonna be looking for next week is forsythia. There's literally so many that you could be looking for. You could be looking for pussy willow at this time. You can be looking for curly willow at this time. You can be looking for forsythia. If we can force bud it open, that usually takes about a week for that. You can be looking for redbud. You can be looking for weigelia. So the idea for these barrels, we are going to grade individual stems. We can put them in different buckets depending on their height and what quality they are and how far along they are. So we'll have 1, 2, 3, and then maybe a fourth one. The only reason we're cutting this one in half, it'll be for the short ones. Also, we have a top and bottom that's both closed up. I actually thought it would be a lot easier to cut through this. I'm only about halfway through. So I have that one, like I said, and I'm gonna keep working on it. This is the perfect time for you to be calling wholesalers, to be calling florists and asking what they need. What kind of products right now in the early spring on flowering branches and flowering shrubs are in demand? You ever heard of the early bird gets the worm? Well, I think it's a perfect saying because you definitely have to stay above and ahead of the game if you want to be able to sell your flowering shrubs in the early spring. You know what I was telling my wife about this thing is that I said I should take this thing with me when I go foraging because I've got a bunch of these batteries. It took me a little while because this is a little dull, but we should see what it does really quick as a side note to see how fast I can get through some stuff. All right, so I took a little break here from down there. That's my agribon cover, but need to get up here. Look at this. Here's a grapevine. Perfect example. Let's see what it does real quick. Put you guys like that. Don't fall over. Ooh. Okay, I'm almost there. Look at that. Didn't have to hurt my hands. Now I have a piece here that I could put my flowering shrubs on or anything. And if you get them small enough, you can make your wreaths out of them. So that's step one of foraging. Take it with you. It's by DeWalt. Sold to you and brought to you by DeWalt. Now that I have done that, literally just came up in the woods with it, you know that you can use that. And I was actually using that last year. Here's a little side note too. I was using the grapevines last year, dipping hydrangeas into hot glue and literally sticking them on there. And one lady was saying that she would pay like $65 for what I made. I should have made more and I should have had more, but maybe that's something I can do and have prepped along the way if I have off time in the summer, is go around cutting the small grapevines and going ahead and screwing them together, because that's what I did. I screwed them together And just having them, having them sitting there and then ready for me and dried out. Literally, so all I have to do is pick up the ring and just start putting my hydrangeas on. I think it's starting to rain on me. It may, but look at this, look. I know it's junky around here, but I got my my 2 buckets here. Those are gonna be awesome because I think I can drain the one from the bottom. And then, so if I have those 2 buckets there, and then I have that one I need to cut in half, maybe I can find some screws for it and then have 4 buckets. I've got another one over there and a couple here. We'll see what we can do. I try to recycle as much as possible because as a flower farmer, if you're trying to make profit in the beginning of the season, it's really hard if you want to try to go out and spend a bunch of money. We literally have our goat up on the hill. If you're new to the channel, I have the goat up on the hill. I was making $400 a week off that hill last year, and it was just of various different types of flowers. So me and Hamilton, I guess we're going to go ahead and cut the next one up. There are so many things that we could be looking for and really honing in on to try to make a few dollars in the springtime. It's definitely a great time to get into it. And if you haven't yet, please like and subscribe and even share this content if you find it valuable or even entertaining in a way. 2 weeks ago, we done a little bit of a cloning video with a Gatorade bottle. There goes Hamilton again. And I just want to show you what it looks like at this point. You know, we have to go over the good, the bad, the ugly. And right now it seems like it's pretty good. So let's go in and look at that. We made it from outside to inside. It's more like entertainment to education here, I guess you could say. So about 11 days ago, this we had topped this out, and it's back here, and I'll show you that in just a second. But so that was about 11 days, and at that point, this plant was 37 days old. So in 48 days, we've literally, this has come from a clone. If you guys are just getting with us, this is from a clone. This is 48 days old now. We look at the spikes on that coming out, the side shoots. And it's because I had intentionally cut right there where the king bud would have been, so I could have got my cutting. And so what that has done is enhance these two to grow. Of course, it's stretching for light because it's here in my kitchen. But if we turn it about 180 or about 90 degrees, you can see that there's another one coming out of there. So potentially off of this plant, probably around 2 more weeks or something, I would hope to get maybe 2 more cuttings off of this. Here's the Gatorade bottle. Now, if you remember, it was really small. Now look at it. So this is 11 days old. At 11 days, maybe another 2 weeks, I'm going to try to cut this little king bud out of there to see what it will do. So that will be 4 off of the 1 plant in 3 weeks. And if you see the condensation and the moisture in it, that's a great thing to have, because you want your plant to stay around 60 degrees or warmer for the growth in the soil. But most of the time, I was actually talking with one of the viewers, most of the time I transition and upplot about a month and a week after cloning. So then I would go to like this little 4x4 tray, pot. I would go to the 4x4 pot, and it won't become root bound for a little while, so it just keeps wrapping and wrapping and wrapping, and eventually it makes the small little tubers that we know of. The struggle is not growing it, not trying to find it, but actually trying to define who your buyer is and trying to find that buyer in particular. How would you like for somebody to literally be calling you for that type of product instead of you having to keep searching and wasting and throwing this stuff in the trash? When your blooms are mature and you have to go throw it away because you have nothing else to do with it and throw it in the compost pile. Yes, it's great for the compost pile, but let me explain something. It's in the description. I want to be able to help you identify your buyer, find the buyer, and be able to understand the calculations of your profits to be able to sell this and become a full-time farmer. And as always, you're with the Flower Guy. Thanks for supporting the channel, and let's grow together. See you guys next time.